So today's subject was I've forgotten. Let me just read it out again. Understanding non-duality versus an energetic shift. So there can be a seeing with the mind, with your thinking mind, of consciousness. The thoughts can recognize that consciousness is looking at the thoughts. And this can be really beautiful and really profound. And normally it comes with some sort of mini awakening where it's suddenly seen that consciousness is experiencing everything, and the personality structure and everything you took yourself to be comes and goes in that. So your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your body, your pains, your pleasures, your memories, your ideas, your intelligence, everything comes and goes in this, in what is, in this empty looking that's experiencing itself as everything and nothing. And it's not you experiencing, you are being experienced. So it can sort of be this mini awakening, and then this sense, like your mind knows, there's something that knows it and sort of turns around and looks at consciousness looking at the person. And that's really profound, and that's part of an awakening process for the apparent person. But in that there is still seeking, so the personality structure is still seeking to either stay in that, or seeking for a feeling of love, or seeking to get to something. It's still uncomfortable. And then at some point an energetic shift happens, and this energetic shift can pulse for many years. And it's like before, what was experiencing life was a limited person, and then it's that something, this energy shifts, and there's something else that's experiencing. And this something else doesn't have a shape or a size or a limit or a feeling or a colour. If you did name it to something, you'd call it love, and it's empty, it's not anything, and it's all things. And I can't tell you why that shift happens. It seems predominantly to be the end of seeking, although there could still be seeking patterns that arrive in the body-mind, like the body-mind, from my experience, takes a while to, or takes forever, infinite time to settle down more and more to that realization. Like old seeking patterns, like looking for validation, or like from your partner or something, or behaving in a certain way, can still come up, but there's this shift that's happened where it's just known what you are, and it's no longer this person looking out, experiencing life. There's nothing experiencing life. And that can have a huge effect on the personality structure. That can change a lot of things in the personality structure, but it's not really about that. And I really don't know what it looks like in the personality structure. I try to figure it out, and people have lots of ideas that you have to get to the end of conditioning, or always be happy, or always be like this. But I don't know. Lisa can be so varied, and it's always changing, and who knows what's coming. I don't know. the thing that is known here is that there is a freedom beyond you that's got nothing to do with your life situation, with your conditioning, with your past, with your future. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's experiencing what's happening now. It's always been experiencing life, and it's here in everything. And it's so obvious that it's so intimate as well, like so obvious and intimate. It's the closest thing there is, that it's unrecognizable by the person. The person can't see it. It's that which is experiencing life now. So it might feel like you're experiencing life and that you're sitting there as a solid entity inside that body, those bodies. You know, if you have multiple bodies, I have multiple bodies. I sometimes change. I'm sometimes this body. I'm sometimes Khaleesi. Sometimes like to be a bee, a flower, a tree, an aeroplane. So you might think you're inside that particular body, and you might think that's your body and that your body is alive, and the reason that you're experiencing life is because you exist as someone separate inside that body, which is a really stupid idea if you come to think of it. Like, it's a very basic idea that humans formed, but that would be the way of things, that we have these bodies and that we're alive inside these bodies. An abstract idea, and that there's a soul or an entity inside of there, but we become so hypnotized by this that we think that's really the reality, that's really true, that there is somebody inside my body and that's me, and let me tell you who I am. And then you spend your life trying to define who you are, define the parameter of who you are. I don't actually have a stutter. Sounds like I do sometimes. I actually have word blankness. Maybe it's the same thing. Maybe that's what a stutter is, word blankness. I can't remember how to say the word. I think it's different from stuttering. It's not that I can't get the word out, I just can't remember the sound of it. Parameter. These awakenings tend to happen with this energy in the human of letting go. The human relaxes and stops trying to control all of this. Or sometimes it's snookered, which means it can't get out of things, and in that it surrenders. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is what is. It doesn't really matter what we say about it. Awakening isn't an intellectual thing, so awakening isn't this understanding that I'm passing to you about what it is or it isn't. You don't need to worry about getting the perfect understanding. If you're really concerned about understanding, then you can go out and read loads about non-duality and understand what all the modern or past teachers talk about. But that's not really what non-duality is at all, actually. It's just that understanding can relax a seeking inside the intellect, a seeking to try and define what reality is or what life is, or try to solve your heartache or try to find love. But that's not going to get you freedom, because you don't exist. So the one that understands never exists. It's a functioning. It's like a computer. Like, you know how like a computer has a memory, and if if I said to my computer, if I said, Siri, I don't think it's got word command on. If I said that and I asked him some information about what work I did today or how many hours I spent on the computer, he could inform me that, but he doesn't actually exist as an entity. That information only exists when it's asked of and when it comes in that moment. The information appears, but we look at it, even with the name Siri, we look at it and we personify it, we make it into a solid person, like Siri is a solid person that contains all the information from my computer, and that's him. And that's what we think we are, is that we're all this information inside the brain, and we're sort of sat in here holding it, and that when someone asks something, we can think of it in our memory bank and speak it. But actually it's like a machine that's just sitting here, and when it's not thinking about something, that doesn't exist. But when someone asks it, these electrons or something happens in the brain or in the body, we're not sure where thinking happens, and the thought comes up and the words come out. And in our brains, we put that all together as if that's somebody inside the body, where there's nobody inside the body. There is nobody having an experience. So all your thoughts and your memories and your ideas aren't contained inside somebody that's inside the body. It's like a machine here that's sitting, and when you say something or say, remember 10 years ago, the imagery comes up, the feelings, the smells, or the memory of the smells come up, and then you believe that you're in that or you're containing all of that. But that's not true. There's nobody that contains anything. There's nobody that's alive. There is this alive presence that's watching, that's not contained in any of that, but all of that is appearing in. So your true nature, that which is experiencing, is free of any feeling, of any idea, of any restriction. It's free of everything. It doesn't know a mother or a father or your name. All of that belongs to the body. It just watches innocently, experiencing itself, and it's so free and infinite. And it's made up of nothing. It's not a thing. It's not even something called consciousness. It's nothing, 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 nothing. And it is found in all things. So it's also everything, everything, everything. It's the smallest and the largest thing. It's the ugliest and the most beautiful thing. It's the naughtiest and the most well-behaved. It's the white and the black. It's the night and the dark, the night and the light, the night and the light, the light and the dark, the light and the night. It's ugly and beauty, it's hatred and love, it's all things. And it's so pure and innocent. And it's what everything is made up of. Everything. Everything. It's beautiful. This is the absolute truth, but nothing I say is true. What's being pointed to is the absolute truth, and it trumps every spiritual tradition. There is no spiritual tradition, and it holds everything. It rejects nothing. It holds the paedophile, the murderer, the other dark, other energies you can think of, and the light, bright energies as well. Nothing else is even on the same wavelength as this, you know, talking about emotional release or hearing the Father's voice, following the Holy Spirit, purifying your energy, higher consciousnesses, different realms. What else is there? Higher purpose. All of that means nothing to non-duality. Sometimes they all sort of like get lumped together as if they've got, like as if like those things are leading to non-duality in some way. But they're not at all. All those things are within the dream. And this is talking about the end of the dream and all things that appear in the dream. It's like the full stop. It's like the end of the search. It's like the end. You can't go any further than this. What else is inside nothing? But there must be something inside nothing. There must be something more than nothing. Something we cannot detect with our eye. Maybe. What happens when you forget about this, and that can happen at all different ages. Maybe some people never forget about this, we can't tell. It's not a personal thing, but it's that these bodies become so consumed by the dream of a person that it's so noisy that this is overlooked. And when this is overlooked, there is always a little taste of agitation, like there's something not quite right. And this creates a seeking dynamic where the person tries to fulfill that void that it feels having lost non-duality, wholeness, tries to fill it in the world of things, and it's endless. It becomes desperate for some people to fill it with money or lovers or necklaces or righteousness or ideas, intellect, success, creativity. And all there is right here, is right now. And the seeking energy is always trying to get to this future time when it will have arrived, when it will finally be whole, when it finally can relax. And the more that it seeks, the more agitated it gets, because it's like a habit. It's like a drug addiction. It grows that addiction and it feels more and more tight and restricted and identified as being somebody. I think this is the cure to everything non-duality. I feel like the Lisa character, if I say so myself, was going to be in for a difficult life if this realization hadn't happened. Like there was difficult conditioning that was appearing. And a lot of that conditioning, I did recondition a certain amount of that conditioning, but a lot of it really relaxed with the awakening, that energetic awakening. So it's still there, these wisps, and there's still tendencies that I work with and I pull back and I have to apologize for sometimes, but it's not like it was before this change happened. It was so intense before, it was so personal and all-consuming. I was so important. So, having said that, we can work on reconditioning. I can work on that with you. But really what I'm here to talk about is non-duality. I'm happy if you're really suffering to look and try and relax things. But really the answer to everything is that this is it. This. You're not going to find it in reconditioning. You're not going to find it in your dynamics. You're not going to find it in being enlightened or being perfect. The answer to all your problems is right here. And the last place you'd ever look. Right here. Yeah! Right here. This is it, baby. Baby. Let's see if I can. Baby. This is it, baby. Baby. I could never, ever, ever have done something like this before. Try to see if I don't think. Yeah. Okay.